Maya Johnson had endured weeks of Derek Mitchell's harassment at Westfield High. The bully saw just another quiet black transfer student, someone who'd learned to keep her head down and take whatever powerful boys like him dished out. Then, one afternoon in the parking lot, Derek decided words weren't enough anymore. The slap echoed across the asphalt, followed by his smug laughter and the cheers of his friends. What Derek couldn't see beneath Maya's careful silence was 8 years of Muay Thai training, fists turned into weapons by her Marine father, who taught her to defend herself. Derek thought she was weak. He was wrong, and Maya Johnson was about to teach him exactly what happened when predators fatally underestimated their prey. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Maya Johnson pushed through the glass doors of Westfield High School, her backpack slung over one shoulder. The hallways stretched before her like a maze of polished floors and lockers painted in school colors she didn't recognize yet. Students clustered in their familiar groups, glancing at her with the casual curiosity reserved for new faces. "You lost, sweetheart." Maya turned toward the voice. A tall boy with sandy hair and a lacrosse jersey leaned against a bank of lockers, flanked by 3 other boys who wore the same easy confidence that came with being at the top of the social food chain. "Just finding my way around," Maya said, her voice steady. "Derek Mitchell." He pushed off from the lockers and extended his hand. "Captain of the lacrosse team. I make it my business to welcome new students, especially ones as exotic as you." Maya looked at his outstretched hand, but didn't take it. "Maya Johnson. And I'm not exotic. I'm just black." Derek's friends snickered, but Derek's smile never wavered. "Feisty. I like that. Where'd you transfer from?" "Columbus." "Big city girl, huh?" "Well, things work differently here in Westfield. More traditional values, if you know what I mean." His eyes traveled down her body in a way that made her skin crawl. "Lucky for you, I'm something of a tradition myself. Been here since kindergarten. My family practically built this school." "How nice for you." Maya shifted her weight, ready to walk away. "Hold up." Derek stepped sideways, blocking her path. "I'm trying to be friendly here. Show you around. Introduce you to people who matter. You don't want to make enemies on your first day." "I don't want to make friends either." One of Derek's friends, a stocky boy with acne scars, laughed. "She's got attitude, Derek. Maybe she needs to learn some manners." Maya's jaw tightened. She'd dealt with boys like this before, in 3 different schools across 2 states. They always thought they owned whatever space they occupied. "Listen," Derek said, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was charming. "I could be real good to you. Take care of you, like in the old days. You know what I mean?" His friends erupted in laughter. The hallway seemed to quiet around them, other students slowing their pace to watch the show. Maya felt the familiar weight of being the center of unwanted attention, the only black face in a sea of white ones waiting to see how she'd respond to being put in her place. "I know exactly what you mean," Maya said, her voice cutting through their laughter. "And I'm not interested." She stepped around Derek, but he moved again, his arm shooting out to brace against the lockers, caging her in. "Come on now. Don't be like that. I'm trying to help you out here. New girl, probably doesn't have many friends yet. Could use someone to show her the ropes." Maya looked up at him, noting the way his friends had positioned themselves to block any easy escape routes. She'd been in situations like this before, but something about Derek's smile made her stomach turn. It wasn't just predatory, it was entitled, like he genuinely believed she should be grateful for his attention. "Get your arm down," she said quietly. "Or what?" Derek leaned closer. "You gonna tell the principal? My dad's on the school board. Has been for 15 years. They're not gonna believe some angry transfer student over a Mitchell." The bell rang, echoing through the hallway. Students began moving toward their classes, but Derek and his friends stayed put. "This conversation isn't over," Derek said, finally lowering his arm. "Welcome to Westfield, Maya Johnson. Hope you enjoy your stay." As they walked away, Maya heard one of them say, "She's gonna be fun to break in." Maya stood there for a moment, watching them disappear into the crowd. She'd transferred schools 6 times in 4 years because of her mother's job, and she'd learned to read situations quickly. This wasn't just typical teenage posturing. This was something darker. She pulled out her class schedule and started walking toward her first period. Other students gave her a wide berth now, their eyes curious but careful not to linger too long. Word would spread quickly about the new girl who'd stood up to Derek Mitchell on her first day. Maya found her classroom and slipped inside, taking a seat in the back corner where she could see the door. As the teacher began taking attendance, she thought about Derek's words. Traditional values. The old days. She'd heard that kind of coded language before. Her father had taught her to throw a punch when she was 10, right after her first Muay Thai lesson. "Never start a fight," he'd said, "but always be ready to finish one." Looking around at her new classmates, Maya had a feeling she might need to remember that advice sooner than she'd hoped. Development 1. 900 words. Revised. The harassment started the next morning. Maya was pulling books from her locker when Derek appeared beside her, leaning against the adjacent locker like he belonged there. "Morning, beautiful. Sleep well? Dream about me?" Maya didn't look at him. "Move. Come on, don't be cold. I brought you a peace offering." He held out a banana. "Thought you might be hungry." His friends materialized behind him, snickering. Maya slammed her locker shut and walked away, but Derek followed. "Hey, where are you going? I'm trying to be nice here." Maya kept walking, but Derek stepped sideways, blocking her path to first period. Students in the hallway slowed, sensing drama. "You know, most girls would be grateful for the attention. Derek Mitchell doesn't just talk to anybody." "Lucky me," Maya muttered, trying to step around him again. This time Derek let her pass, but she could feel his eyes on her as she walked away. Behind her, she heard him say to his friends, "Don't worry, she'll come around. They always do." By third period, Derek had found her schedule. He appeared outside her chemistry class, waiting with that same predatory smile. "Maya, what a coincidence. I was just walking by." "Your next class is on the other side of the building," Maya said without stopping. "How do you know where my next class is?" Derek fell into step beside her. "You been asking about me? That's sweet." Maya's jaw clenched. She hadn't been asking. She'd overheard 2 girls talking about Derek's schedule during lunch. Apparently, half the school knew his routines by heart. "Look, I get it," Derek continued. "You're playing hard to get. It's cute. But you should know I always get what I want." Maya stopped walking. "What makes you think I'm something you can get?" Derek's smile faltered for just a moment before returning full force. "Everything's for sale, sweetheart. Just got to find the right price." The next day, Derek was waiting by her car in the parking lot after school. Maya had borrowed her mother's Honda for the day. Nothing fancy, but Derek ran his hand along the hood like he was appraising it. "Nice ride. Little beat up, but it's got character. Like its owner." "Get away from my car." "Relax. I'm not gonna hurt it. Just admiring." He moved to block her path to the driver's door. "You know, I could give you rides to school. My Mustang's a lot nicer than this thing." "I don't need rides from you." "What do you need then? Money? I got plenty. My dad owns 3 car dealerships." Derek stepped closer. "Or maybe you need protection. This school can be rough for outsiders." Maya felt her hands curl into fists. "Is that a threat?" "Just facts. Things happen to people who don't fit in. Accidents. Misunderstandings." Derek's voice dropped lower. "But stick with me, and nobody'll bother you." Maya unlocked her car and got in, but Derek grabbed the door before she could close it. "Think about it," he said. "I'll make it worth your while." The harassment escalated throughout the week. Derek appeared everywhere, outside her classes, in the cafeteria, by her locker. His comments became more explicit, his accidental touches more frequent. He'd brush against her in the hallway, put his hand on her lower back when talking to her, stand too close when she was at her locker. Maya tried going to the guidance counselor first. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to report a problem with another student." The counselor, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, barely looked up from her paperwork. "What kind of problem?" "A student named Derek Mitchell has been following me, making inappropriate comments, touching me when I tell him not to." Mrs. Patterson's pen stopped moving. "Derek Mitchell? Are you sure you're not misinterpreting friendly behavior? Derek's a good kid. Star athlete, honor roll, comes from a good family. He told me he could be my master, like in the old days. He follows me to my car. He touches me when I tell him not to." "Well," Mrs. Patterson set down her pen and looked at Maya for the first time. "Sometimes when we're new to a place, we can misread social cues. Boys here might be more forward than what you're used to. It's probably just his way of being welcoming." Maya stared at her. "Welcoming? I suggest you try to be more open-minded. Give Derek a chance. He's really quite nice once you get to know him." Maya left the office feeling sick. Meanwhile, across the school, Jake Santos watched Maya walk past his table in the library, her jaw tight with frustration. He recognized that look, the same expression he wore after his own failed attempts to report Derek's group for shoving him into lockers and calling him Taco Boy. Jake had been at Westfield for 2 years, ever since his family moved from El Paso. Derek and his friends had made those years miserable, but Jake had learned to keep his head down, take different routes through the halls, eat lunch in hidden corners. Watching Maya, he saw someone who hadn't learned to disappear yet. Part of him admired her refusal to back down. Another part of him feared what Derek would do to someone who kept saying no. That Friday, Derek cornered Maya by the gym doors after last period. "You've been avoiding me all week. That hurts my feelings." "Good." Derek's smile turned cold. "You think you're better than me? Than this place? Let me tell you something, Princess. You're nothing special. Just another what?" Maya stepped closer, her voice dangerous. Derek's eyes gleamed. "You know what? Don't make me say it." Maya felt something snap inside her chest. "Say it. I dare you." For a moment, Derek looked like he might actually do it. Then his smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Soon," he said quietly. "Real soon, you're gonna learn your place." Monday morning, Derek huddled with his friends by the trophy case, a wicked grin spreading across his face. "Today's the day, boys. Little Miss Attitude is about to learn her place." "What you got planned?" asked Tyler, the stocky one with acne scars. "Public humiliation. Gonna make her beg for my attention in front of everyone." Derek's eyes gleamed. "She thinks she's too good for me? Wait till she sees what happens to girls who don't show proper respect." "Dude, you're gonna get in trouble," said Connor, the tall, lanky one. "For what? Flirting? My dad's on the school board, remember? Besides, it'll just look like playful banter to anyone watching." Derek cracked his knuckles. "Time to break this filly in." His friends exchanged glances, but said nothing. They'd seen Derek's playful banter before. Derek spotted Maya at her locker and straightened his shoulders. "Show time." "There's my girl," Derek announced loudly, striding up with his usual entourage. "Miss me over the weekend?" "I'm not your girl," Maya said without turning around. "Come on, don't be shy. Everyone knows we've got something special." Derek moved closer, his voice carrying across the hallway. "Been telling everyone how exotic you are. How different." Maya slammed her locker shut and faced him. Stop calling me exotic. Why? It's a compliment. You're not like the basic girls here. You've got that wild, untamed thing going on. Derek's friends laughed, and Maya noticed more students gathering to watch. Like a beautiful animal that needs to be broken in. The hallway went quiet. Maya felt every eye on her, waiting to see how she'd respond to being compared to an animal that needed breaking. You want to know what's wild and untamed? Maya's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking with rage. Your breath. When's the last time you brushed your teeth? Or showered? You smell like a locker room that's been closed up all summer. Derek's smile faltered. Hey now. And speaking of basic, let's talk about your personality. You've got the depth of a puddle and the intelligence of a brick. The only reason girls talk to you is because daddy's money buys you fake friends and a fake reputation. Derek's face was turning red. His friends shifted uncomfortably. Your idea of flirting is calling girls exotic animals and talking about the old days like you're some plantation owner. News flash. Those days are over, and they're not coming back. You're just a scared little boy who can't handle being told no. Maya stepped closer, her voice rising. You think you're intimidating? You think you're special? You're nothing. You're a walking cliché with a trust fund and daddy issues. The most interesting thing about you is your car, and that's only because someone else designed it. The crowd had grown larger, phones coming out to record. Derek's face was now crimson. And one more thing, Maya said, her voice cutting through the silence. I wouldn't date you if you were the last boy on Earth. I have standards, and you don't even register on the scale. Derek stood there for a moment, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. The laughter from earlier had died completely. Students were looking at him with expressions ranging from shock to barely concealed amusement. Derek felt the humiliation burning through his chest like acid. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She was supposed to break, not fight back. His friends were staring at him, waiting to see what he'd do. You think you're funny? Derek forced a laugh that sounded more like a bark. You think this is over? You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Maya turned to walk away, but Derek's voice followed her. Nobody talks to me like that. Nobody! The rest of the day, Derek seethed. Every whisper in the hallway felt like mockery. Every glance felt like judgment. By lunch, the video of Maya's verbal destruction had spread through the school like wildfire. She got you good, man, Tyler said, trying to lighten the mood. But hey, at least, shut up, Derek snapped. Just shut up. Derek barely heard his afternoon classes. All he could think about was Maya's voice, cutting through him like a blade. The way students had looked at him afterward. The way some had actually smiled. By the time school ended, Derek's humiliation had curdled into rage. We're gonna fix this, he told his friends as they headed to the parking lot. All of us. She wants to play tough. Let's see how tough she really is. Maya was walking to her car when they caught up with her. Going somewhere? Derek asked. We're not done talking. Yes, we are. Maya kept walking toward her car. No, we're not. Derek grabbed her arm and spun her around. You embarrassed me in front of the whole school. Made me look like a fool. You didn't need my help with that. Derek's grip tightened. You think you're so smart? So tough? Let me show you what happens to girls who don't know their place. Maya looked down at his hand on her arm, then back up at his face. Let go of me. Or what? Let go of me now. Derek laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're gonna learn some respect. His hand shot out and slapped her rear hard enough that the sound echoed across the parking lot. His friends burst into laughter, and Derek grinned, feeling like he'd finally regained control. There we go. Much better. For a moment, everything was still. Derek was smiling, his friends were laughing, and a few students who'd been heading to their cars had stopped to watch. Maya stood frozen for a heartbeat. Then she turned around slowly, and something in her expression made Derek's smile waver. "Big mistake," she said quietly. Derek opened his mouth to respond, but Maya's right hook caught him square in the jaw before he could speak. The crack of impact was audible 20 feet away. Derek's eyes rolled back, and he crumpled to the asphalt like a sack of wet concrete. His friends stared in shock for half a second before rushing forward. Tyler swung first, but Maya ducked under his punch and drove her knee into his solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping. Connor grabbed for her arms, trying to restrain her. Maya spun out of his grip and caught him with an elbow to the ribs that sent him staggering backward. The third friend, Brad, smaller but quicker, managed to land a glancing blow to her shoulder before Maya's roundhouse kick caught him in the stomach and dropped him to his knees. The whole fight lasted less than 30 seconds. Maya stood over Derek's unconscious form, her chest heaving. Around the parking lot, students had their phones out, recording everything. Some were cheering, others looked terrified. "Maya Johnson!" Security guards were running toward them, radios crackling. Maya didn't resist as they grabbed her arms, but she kept her eyes on Derek's motionless body. "Someone call an ambulance!" one of the guards shouted. As they led Maya away, she heard another student say, "Holy crap! Did you see that?" She destroyed them. Derek was starting to stir, blood trickling from his mouth. His friends were slowly getting to their feet, clutching their injuries. The war had officially begun. Principal Anderson's office felt like a courtroom. Maya sat in the hard plastic chair, her mother beside her, while Anderson shuffled through papers with the urgency of someone trying to avoid eye contact. 5 days suspension, Anderson announced without looking up. Maya initiated physical violence against 4 students, resulting in 1 concussion and multiple injuries. Frankly, she's lucky the police aren't involved. What about what they did to her? Maya's mother, Lisa Johnson, leaned forward in her chair. "That boy put his hands on my daughter inappropriately." According to witness statements, Derek was simply talking to Maya when she became violent. Anderson finally looked up, his expression carefully neutral. "There's no evidence of inappropriate contact." "There's video of him slapping her behind." Lisa's voice was rising. "Multiple students recorded it." "I've reviewed the footage. It shows Maya striking Derek without provocation." Maya stared at him. "Without provocation? The video I was shown begins with you throwing the first punch. Whatever happened before that is hearsay." Lisa stood up. "This is unbelievable. So Derek gets no punishment at all." Derek and his friends were victims of an unprovoked attack. They're receiving medical attention and counseling support. Anderson's tone suggested the meeting was over. Maya will serve her suspension starting tomorrow. When she returns, any further incidents will result in expulsion and possible criminal charges. In the hallway outside the office, Maya's hands were shaking with rage. "They edited the video. Cut out everything before I hit him." "I know, baby." Lisa put her arm around her daughter. "We'll figure this out." That evening, Maya sat at the kitchen table staring at her untouched dinner, while her parents talked in hushed voices by the sink. Her father, Marcus Johnson, had been silent since Lisa explained what happened at school. Finally, Marcus sat down across from Maya. "Tell me exactly what happened." "Every detail." Maya recounted the weeks of harassment, Derek's escalating behavior, the useless meeting with the counselor, and finally, the parking lot confrontation. Marcus listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with each detail. "You did the right thing," he said quietly when she finished. "Marcus," Lisa warned from the kitchen. "No, Lisa. She did exactly what she should have done." Marcus looked at Maya directly. "When someone puts their hands on you like that, after you've told them to stop, you have every right to defend yourself. But I'm the one who got suspended." Because the system protects boys like Derek. Always has. Marcus's voice carried the weight of his own experiences. But here's what they don't understand. You didn't just defend yourself. You sent a message to every other predator in that school. Maya felt tears threatening. It doesn't matter. Nothing changed. Everything changed. You just don't see it yet. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. Your grandmother used to tell me, sometimes you have to fight the same battle twice before people understand you're serious. This isn't over, Maya. It's just getting started. What do you mean? You showed them you can fight. Now you have to show them you won't stop fighting. Marcus squeezed her hand. But you can't do it alone. Find others who've been hurt by this boy. Build something bigger than just you. Meanwhile, across the school, Derek sat in the nurse's office with an ice pack pressed to his jaw. His father, Robert Mitchell, stood beside him like a guard dog, cell phone pressed to his ear. Yes, I understand the girl has been suspended, Robert was saying. But 5 days isn't enough. My son could have been seriously injured. What do you mean there's video? Derek was the victim here. Derek watched his father work, making calls to school board members, threatening legal action, leveraging years of political connections. Within an hour, the official video had been scrubbed from the school's servers, replaced with edited footage that made Maya look like an unprovoked attacker. Don't worry, son, Robert said after hanging up. This will all blow over, and that girl will think twice before messing with a Mitchell again. But Derek wasn't thinking about Maya's punishment. He was thinking about the moment her fist connected with his jaw, the way she'd moved like she knew exactly what she was doing. None of his friends had ever fought back before. None of them had ever knocked him unconscious. 2 days into Maya's suspension, Jake Santos was eating lunch alone in the library when he saw something that made his stomach drop. Derek and his crew were surrounding a freshman girl by the water fountain, close enough that Jake could hear every word. Come on, Amy, don't be shy, Derek was saying, his jaw still slightly swollen. I just want to talk. I need to get to class, the girl whispered. Class can wait. We're having a conversation here. Derek moved closer, backing her against the wall. You know what happened to the last girl who was rude to me? She got suspended. Might even get expelled. Jake had seen this exact scene play out dozens of times over the past 2 years. Different victims, same predator. But something about watching it happen again, so soon after Maya's suspension, made him feel sick. Please, I just want to go to class. See, that's not how this works, Derek said. You show me some respect, maybe smile a little, and then we can talk about letting you go. Jake stood up without thinking. Hey! Derek turned, annoyed at the interruption. What do you want, Taco Boy? Leave her alone. Derek laughed. Or what? You gonna call your girlfriend Maya? Oh, wait. She's suspended for being a violent thug. Jake's hands were shaking, but he didn't back down. Just leave her alone. You know what? You're right. Derek stepped away from the freshman. Amy can go, but you and I need to have a conversation. The freshman girl fled without looking back. Derek's friends moved to surround Jake, who suddenly realized he'd made a terrible mistake. You think because Maya sucker punched me, that makes you tough too? Derek grabbed Jake by the shirt and slammed him against the lockers. Let me explain something to you. That girl got lucky. It won't happen again. Jake tried to pull away, but Derek's grip tightened. And if I hear about you running your mouth to anyone about what just happened, you're gonna wish you'd stayed in whatever border town you crawled out of. That afternoon, Jake walked home with a split lip and a black eye, Derek's threats echoing in his head. But he also walked home with something else, a phone number he'd copied from the substitute teacher's desk. Maya answered on the second ring. Maya? This is Jake Santos. We don't really know each other, but we need to talk. What happened to your voice? You sound like you've been crying. Jake touched his swollen lip. Derek happened. Look, I know you're suspended, but when you get back, we need to meet. There are others. Kids who've been dealing with Derek and his friends for years. How many others? Jake thought about all the students he'd seen cornered in hallways, humiliated in bathrooms, threatened into silence. More than you think. And after what you did to him, after seeing someone finally fight back, Jake's voice grew stronger. People are ready to listen. Maya was quiet for a long moment, remembering her father's words about building something bigger. Where do you want to meet? Behind the gym. First day you're back. We'll figure out what comes next. After hanging up, Jake stared at his reflection in his bedroom mirror. For the first time in 2 years, he didn't look away from the bruises. Instead, he started making a list of names. Every kid he'd seen Derek's group target. Every student who'd been too scared to speak up. The war was about to get bigger. Maya's first day back at Westfield felt like walking into enemy territory. Students stared as she passed, some with admiration, others with fear. Word had spread about her suspension, but so had whispers about Derek's continued behavior while she was gone. Behind the gym, Jake Santos waited with 3 other students Maya didn't recognize. His split lip had healed, but the black eye was still fading to yellow around the edges. You came, Jake said, relief evident in his voice. You said there were others. Maya looked at the small group. This them? A thin girl with short brown hair stepped forward. I'm Emma Rodriguez. Derek and his friends cornered me in the bathroom last month. Called me names, threatened to flush my head in the toilet if I told anyone. Marcus Washington, said a tall black sophomore. They've been taking my lunch money since freshman year. Yesterday they shoved me into the trophy case and told everyone I was trying to steal something. The third student, a pale boy with thick glasses, barely whispered his introduction. Ben Chen. They make me do their homework. Maya felt her father's words echoing in her mind. Build something bigger than just you. How many others? She asked. Jake pulled out a folded piece of paper. I've been making a list. Kids who've been targeted. Kids who've been threatened. Kids who just keep their heads down because they're scared. He handed her the paper. There are at least 20 names here, and that's just the ones I know about. Maya unfolded the list and scanned the names. Some she recognized from classes. Others were complete strangers. They can't suspend all of us. That's what I was thinking, Jake said. But we need a plan. We can't just start throwing punches randomly. Emma spoke up, her voice stronger now. What if we don't throw the first punch? What if we just don't run away anymore? What do you mean? Ben asked. I mean, when they corner you, you stand your ground. When they try to intimidate you, you don't back down. When they put their hands on you, Emma looked at Maya. You defend yourself. Maya nodded slowly. My dad taught me some things. Basic self-defense. I could show you. You'd do that? Marcus asked. Derek's not going to stop. The school's not going to help us. So we help ourselves. Maya folded the list and put it in her pocket. But everyone needs to understand. Once we start this, there's no going back. They're going to come at us harder. They're already coming at us, Jake said. At least this way we hit back. Maya looked at each of them in turn. Okay. We meet here every day after school. I'll teach you what I know. But remember, we're not starting fights. We're finishing them. Over the next 3 days, their group grew. Word spread quietly through the school's underground network of victims and outcasts. Students who'd been suffering in silence began to find their way to the meetings behind the gym. Maya taught them basic blocks, how to break free from grabs, where to hit to cause maximum damage. She showed Emma how to use her speed to stay out of reach. She taught Marcus how to use his height advantage. She helped Ben overcome his fear of physical contact. The most important thing, Maya told them on Thursday, is to not fight fair. They don't fight fair, so neither do we. You go for eyes, throat, knees, whatever it takes to get away safe. Jake watched her demonstrate a knee strike and realized Maya was becoming something more than just another victim who'd fought back. She was becoming their leader. Meanwhile, Derek had noticed the whispers. Students who used to scatter when they saw him coming were making eye contact now. Kids who'd been easy targets were walking differently, standing straighter. "Something's going on," he told Tyler as they stood by their lockers Friday afternoon. "These losers are acting weird." "Weird how?" "Like they're not scared anymore. That freshman girl, Emma? She didn't even flinch when I walked past her yesterday." Tyler shrugged. "Maybe they're just getting used to you being back." But Derek knew it was more than that. He'd built his reputation on fear, and fear was a delicate thing. Once people stopped being afraid, everything changed. "We need to send a message," Derek said. "Remind everyone what happens when you don't show proper respect." "What kind of message?" Derek's eyes scanned the hallway until they landed on Jake Santos, who was walking toward the exit with purpose instead of his usual nervous shuffle. "The kind that leaves a mark." As the weekend approached, both sides prepared for what everyone could feel coming. Maya's group had grown to 15 students, all of them learning to fight, all of them ready to defend themselves and each other. Derek's group had also grown, recruiting older students and even some graduates who still hung around the school. The battle lines were being drawn. Maya spent the weekend practicing combinations in her backyard, her father watching from the porch. "You sure about this path?" Marcus asked during a break. Maya wiped sweat from her forehead and looked back at the house where her mother was pacing by the kitchen window, worried sick about what was coming. "No," Maya said honestly, "but it's the only path that leads anywhere good." Monday morning couldn't come fast enough. Monday morning brought the first real test. Jake was walking to his locker when Derek and Tyler cornered him by the stairwell, the same place they'd ambushed him dozens of times before. But this time, Jake didn't look away. "Well, well," Derek said, stepping closer. "Look who thinks he's tough now." "I'm not looking for trouble," Jake said, but he didn't back down. "Too bad. Trouble found you." Derek shoved Jake hard against the concrete wall. "I hear you've been talking to people, making lists. That true?" Jake felt his heart pounding, but Maya's voice echoed in his head. "Don't fight fair. Go for whatever it takes to get away safe." "I don't know what you're talking about." Derek grabbed Jake's shirt and pulled him forward, then slammed him back against the wall. "Don't lie to me, Taco Boy. You and that psycho girl have been recruiting losers for your little club. Let go of me." "Or what?" Derek laughed. "You gonna call your—" Jake's knee drove up into Derek's groin with everything he had. Derek doubled over, gasping, and Jake broke free, running toward the main hallway where teachers would be. "Get him!" Derek wheezed, but Jake was already gone. 20 minutes later, during first period, Emma Rodriguez was leaving the bathroom when 3 senior girls blocked her path. Maya had warned them that Derek might recruit others, but Emma hadn't expected this. "You're Emma, right?" The lead girl, a blonde cheerleader named Brittany, smiled coldly. "I'm friends with Derek." "Okay," Emma said, trying to step around them. "Not so fast." Brittany moved to block her again. "Derek told me you've been spreading lies about him. That's not very nice." "I haven't said anything that isn't true." "See, that's the problem. Truth is relative." Brittany stepped closer. "And Derek's family has been good to this school. Your family? Nobody even knows who you are." Emma felt the familiar fear creeping up her throat, but then she remembered Maya's words about standing your ground. "Move," Emma said firmly. "Excuse me?" "I said move. I need to get to class." Brittany's smile disappeared. "You little—" Emma didn't wait for her to finish. She pushed past Brittany with enough force to send the cheerleader stumbling backward into the sink. "You're going to regret this," Brittany called as Emma walked away. By lunch, word had spread about both incidents. Maya sat with her growing group in a corner of the cafeteria, watching Derek's table across the room. "They're recruiting," Marcus said quietly. "I saw Derek talking to some of the football players during PE." "How many?" Maya asked. "Maybe 6 or 7. Big guys." Ben looked terrified. "What if they come after us all at once?" "Then we stick together," Maya said. "Nobody walks alone. Buddy system everywhere." Across the cafeteria, Derek was indeed building his own army. His jaw still ached from Jake's knee, and the humiliation burned worse than the physical pain. "I want them isolated," Derek told the football players he'd recruited. "Pick them off one by one. Show the rest of the school what happens when you mess with us." "What about the girl?" asked Chad, a senior linebacker. "The one who started all this?" Derek's eyes found Maya across the room. She was sitting with her back to the wall, positioned so she could see the entire cafeteria. Smart. Save her for last. Let her watch her little army fall apart first. After school, Maya's group had barely started their training session behind the gym when Principal Anderson appeared with 2 security guards. "This gathering is unauthorized," Anderson announced. "You're all to disperse immediately." "We're not doing anything wrong," Maya said. "We're just talking. Reports indicate you've been teaching students to fight. That constitutes planning violence on school property." Maya felt rage building in her chest. "What about Derek recruiting football players to attack us? Where's his punishment?" "I don't know what you're talking about. Derek Mitchell hasn't been involved in any incidents since your unprovoked attack on him." "This is unbelievable," Emma said. Anderson turned his attention to her. "Miss Rodriguez, your parents received a call today about your altercation with another student in the bathroom. One more incident, and you'll face suspension." "She didn't start anything," Jake protested. "Mr. Santos, you're already on thin ice after your fight this morning. I suggest you keep your mouth shut." As Anderson and the guards walked away, Maya's group stood in stunned silence. "They're protecting him," Ben whispered. "No matter what he does, they're going to protect him." Maya clenched her fists. "Then we protect ourselves." "How?" Marcus asked. "They'll suspend us for breathing wrong, but Derek can do whatever he wants." Maya looked at her friends, because that's what they'd become, united by shared trauma and determination. Her father's words came back to her. "Sometimes you have to fight the same battle twice before people understand you're serious." "We make it impossible to ignore," she said quietly. "We make it so big, so public, that they can't cover it up anymore." "What are you thinking?" Jake asked. Maya's smile was sharp as a blade. "War." Tuesday after school, Maya stood before 23 students gathered in the abandoned maintenance shed behind the football field. Word had spread through underground networks. The outcasts, the bullied, the forgotten. They'd found a new meeting place after being banned from school property. "I know you're all scared," Maya began, her voice carrying across the cramped space. "I know, because I was scared too. Scared of Derek. Scared of his friends. Scared of a system that protects predators and punishes victims." The group listened in silence. Some sat on overturned crates. Others leaned against rusted equipment. All of them bore the invisible scars of Derek's reign of terror. But yesterday something changed. Jake fought back. Emma fought back. They stood up to bullies who thought they owned this school. Maya's voice grew stronger. "And you know what happened? The bullies got hurt. The bullies got scared. For the first time in years, they felt what we've been feeling every single day." "What if they expel us?" Ben asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if they don't?" Maya shot back. "What if we keep taking their abuse until we graduate? What happens to the kids who come after us?" Do we just leave them to suffer like we did? Silence filled the shed. Maya could see the internal struggle on every face, the war between fear and hope, between self-preservation and justice. My dad told me something, Maya continued. He said, sometimes you have to fight the same battle twice before people understand you're serious. Well, I'm done fighting alone. We all are. A junior named Terrell, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. My little sister starts here next year. She's tiny, barely 5 feet tall. If Derek's still here when she arrives, his hands clenched into fists. I can't let that happen. Then don't, Maya said simply. Help us stop it. How? Emma asked. They've got the administration, they've got their parents' money, they've got everything. They don't have numbers, Jake said, standing up. There are more of us than there are of them. There always have been. Maya nodded. The only reason Derek has power is because we gave it to him, because we scattered when he showed up, because we suffered in silence, because we let him pick us off one by one. She walked to the center of the group. No more. From now on, when Derek or his friends approach any of us, we don't run, we don't hide. We stand together, and we fight back. What if someone gets seriously hurt? A sophomore girl asked. Maya's expression hardened. People are already getting hurt. Every day. The difference is now Derek's going to hurt too. Across town, Derek sat in his bedroom, nursing a bag of ice against his groin, while his father paced angrily. This is getting out of hand, Robert Mitchell said. First, that Johnson girl attacks you. Now other students are getting aggressive. The school needs to crack down harder. It's fine, Dad. I can handle a few losers. This isn't about what you can handle. This is about respect, about maintaining order. Robert stopped pacing and looked at his son. Maybe it's time to involve the police, file assault charges against some of these kids. Derek considered this. The idea of watching Maya get arrested had definite appeal, but something about it felt like admitting defeat, like he couldn't handle his own battles. Not yet, Derek said. Give me a few more days. Back at the shed, Maya was wrapping up her speech. I won't lie to you. This is going to get worse before it gets better. They're going to try to break us, to make us afraid again. Some of you might get suspended or expelled. Some of you might get hurt. The group exchanged nervous glances, but nobody left. But here's what I know for sure, Maya continued, her voice rising with passion. We're already hurt. We're already broken. We're already afraid. The only difference is now we're going to make them feel it too. She looked around the room, making eye contact with each person. Anyone who wants to leave can go right now. No judgment, no hard feelings. But if you stay, you're committed. We protect each other, we fight for each other, and we don't stop until Derek and his friends are finished. Ben Chen stood up slowly, his hands shaking but his voice steady. I'm tired of being afraid. One by one, others stood. Emma, Marcus, Terrell, Jake. Until all 23 students were on their feet. Then let's make them afraid instead, Maya said. As the group dispersed into the evening darkness, Maya felt the weight of leadership settling on her shoulders. These weren't just fellow victims anymore. They were soldiers in a war she'd started. And wars, she was beginning to understand, always had casualties. The question was whether she could live with the ones that were coming. Wednesday morning erupted into chaos. Derek's football recruits struck first, cornering Ben Chen in the bathroom before first period. But this time, Ben wasn't alone. Marcus and 2 other students burst through the door just as the attack began. Get off him! Marcus shouted, throwing himself at the nearest football player. The bathroom became a war zone. Fists flew, bodies slammed against tile walls, and the sound of fighting echoed through the hallways. Other students gathered outside, some filming, others running to get teachers. By the time security arrived, 3 football players were on the ground, and Ben was standing, bloody but victorious, supported by his friends. "What happened here?" demanded Mr. Walsh, the head of security. "They attacked us!" Marcus panted, wiping blood from his nose. "That's not what I saw," said Chad, the linebacker, struggling to his feet. "These kids jumped us for no reason." Within an hour, 5 of Maya's group were suspended, but word of their victory spread like wildfire. For the first time, Derek's people had lost a fight. At lunch, Derek's table was noticeably quieter. His remaining allies kept glancing around nervously, as if expecting another attack. "This is getting out of control," Tyler muttered, picking at his sandwich. "Maybe we should back off for a while." "Back off?" Derek's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. "You want to let these losers think they can beat us? I'm just saying, maybe..." "Maybe what? Maybe we should let Maya Johnson turn this whole school against us?" Derek stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "No way. Tonight, we end this." Meanwhile, Maya sat with her remaining group in the library, trying to process what had happened. 5 suspensions, Emma said quietly. Ben, Marcus, Terrell, and 2 others. Gone. "But they won," Jake pointed out. "Derek's football players got destroyed." "And now they'll come back twice as hard," Maya said. She felt responsible for every bruise, every suspension, every escalation. "This is my fault." "No," said a new voice. Maya turned to see Sarah Kim, a quiet junior she barely knew. "This is Derek's fault. It's always been Derek's fault." Sarah sat down at their table uninvited. "I've been watching this war from the sidelines, and I can't stay quiet anymore. Derek and his friends cornered my friend Jasmine last month. Made her cry. Made her skip school for a week. I should have done something then." "Why didn't you?" Emma asked, not accusingly but genuinely curious. "Same reason everyone else doesn't. Fear." Sarah's voice grew stronger. "But watching you all fight back, watching Ben stand up to those football players, I realized I'm more afraid of staying quiet than I am of fighting." Maya felt a spark of hope. "How many others feel like you do?" "More than you think." "A lot more." That afternoon, Derek gathered his remaining forces in the parking lot. Word had reached him about Sarah Kim's defection, and he was furious. "They're recruiting faster than we can shut them down," he told his assembled group. "Time for a new strategy." "What kind of strategy?" asked Connor. Derek's smile was cold and calculating. "The kind that sends Maya Johnson to the hospital." Meanwhile, at the maintenance shed, Maya's group had swelled to over 30 students. The bathroom victory had emboldened others to join, but Maya could see the fear in their eyes. They wanted to fight, but they weren't prepared for what Derek might do next. "We need to be smarter," Maya told them. "No more small skirmishes. If we're going to do this, we do it big." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. Maya looked around at the faces staring back at her, some eager, some terrified, all trusting her to lead them safely through this war. "Tomorrow morning, Derek's going to try something big. I can feel it. So we'll be ready for him." Maya's voice carried the weight of command. "All of us. Together." In the main hallway where everyone can see. "You want us to fight in front of the whole school?" Ben's replacement, a sophomore named Alex, looked pale. "I want us to win in front of the whole school," Maya corrected. "I want every student, every teacher, every administrator to see that Derek Mitchell doesn't run Westfield High anymore." Jake stepped forward. "What if they bring weapons?" Maya's expression darkened. "Then we better make sure we're ready for anything." As the meeting broke up, Maya felt the familiar weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Tomorrow would either end Derek's reign of terror or destroy everything she'd built. Either way, there would be no going back. Later that night, Derek made a phone call that would change everything. "Dad, I need to ask you a favor. It's about that Johnson girl and her gang. Things have gotten complicated." The war was about to become something much bigger than a school fight, and Maya had no idea what was coming. Thursday morning arrived like a storm front. Maya reached school early, positioning herself and her core group in the main hallway before most students arrived. They'd agreed on a simple plan: stay together, don't start anything, but be ready for everything. By first period, the tension was electric. Students moved through the hallways in clusters, choosing sides with their feet. Maya's group had grown overnight to nearly 40 students, while Derek's alliance had recruited graduates and older kids who had no business being on campus. At 9:30 a.m., during the passing period between first and second classes, everything exploded at once. It started when Derek's football recruits cornered 3 freshmen who'd been sitting with Maya's group at lunch. What should have been another isolated attack became the spark that lit the fuse. "Get off them!" Sarah Kim screamed from across the hallway. Suddenly, everyone was moving. Maya's people rushed to help the freshmen, while Derek's allies moved to intercept them. Within seconds, the main hallway erupted into complete chaos. Bodies slammed into lockers, textbooks flew through the air, and the sound of fighting echoed off the walls. Students who weren't involved pressed themselves against classroom doors, some screaming, others pulling out phones to record. Maya found herself fighting 2 seniors at once, using the confined space of the hallway to her advantage. She kicked one into the trophy case, sending glass exploding across the floor, then spun to catch the second with an elbow to the jaw. Across the hall, Jake was grappling with Tyler while Emma and 3 other girls had Brittany pinned against the wall. The cheerleader was scratching and biting like a wild animal, screaming obscenities that would have gotten her expelled if anyone in authority actually cared. "This is insane!" Ben shouted over the noise as he ducked a thrown textbook. More students poured out of classrooms, some to join the fight, others just to watch. The riot was spreading beyond the original combatants as onlookers got pulled into the violence. Derek appeared through the crowd, his face twisted with rage. "Maya, this ends now!" But before he could reach her, a fire alarm began blaring. Someone had pulled it during the chaos, and now sprinklers were activating throughout the building. Water rained down on the fighting students, making the floors slippery and dangerous. Several people went down hard on the wet tile, but the fighting continued. "Everyone, stop!" A teacher's voice cut through the noise, but nobody was listening anymore. Maya slipped on the wet floor and went down, immediately rolling to avoid a kick from one of Derek's recruits. She swept his legs and sent him crashing into a group of lockers. The riot had taken on a life of its own. Students who'd never been involved in the original conflict were throwing punches, settling old scores, or just getting caught up in the violence. The careful battle lines Maya and Derek had drawn had dissolved into pure chaos. Through the sprinkler rain and the screaming, Maya caught sight of Principal Anderson standing at the far end of the hallway with a phone pressed to his ear. His face was pale as he spoke rapidly to whoever was on the other end. "We need immediate assistance," she heard him say. "Multiple fights, property damage, complete loss of control." Maya realized this was exactly what Derek's father had been waiting for. An excuse to bring in outside force to crush her movement permanently. A window shattered as someone was thrown against it. Glass joined the water on the floor, making footing even more treacherous. Several students were bleeding now, though whether from punches or cuts from the debris, Maya couldn't tell. "Maya!" Jake appeared beside her, his shirt torn and his lips split. "We need to get out of here." "No!" Maya shouted back over the noise. "We can't run now!" But even as she said it, Maya could see they were losing control. This wasn't the disciplined resistance she'd planned. It was a brawl that was getting more dangerous by the minute. Derek emerged from the crowd again, water streaming down his face, his eyes wild with something between fury and panic. "Look what you've done!" he screamed at Maya. "You've destroyed everything!" I've exposed everything, Maya screamed back. Around them, the riot continued to spread. More windows broke, lockers were torn open, and the sprinkler system was flooding the entire first floor. The sound of sirens could be heard in the distance, growing louder. Maya looked around at the chaos she'd helped create. Students fighting, bleeding, screaming, water everywhere, glass crunching underfoot. This wasn't justice. This wasn't victory. This was exactly what Derek's father needed to justify whatever he had planned. But it was too late to stop now. The war had escalated beyond anyone's control, and the real battle was about to begin. The sirens were getting closer. The riot was dying down as exhaustion set in, but Maya and Derek found themselves alone in the center of the flooded hallway. Other students had either fled or collapsed against the walls, watching through the sprinkler rain as the two leaders faced each other. "You and me," Derek panted, wiping blood from his mouth. "No friends, no backup. Just us." Maya circled him slowly, her sneakers splashing in the ankle-deep water. "Fine by me." They'd been building to this moment for weeks. All the harassment, the humiliation, the violence had led to this final confrontation. Around them, the broken glass and overturned lockers created an arena of destruction. Derek threw the first punch, a wild haymaker that Maya ducked easily. His boxing lessons hadn't prepared him for fighting in water while exhausted from a riot. Maya countered with a sharp jab to his ribs, then followed with a knee strike that caught him in the stomach. Derek doubled over, gasping. "Had enough?" Maya asked. "Just getting started," Derek wheezed, then lunged forward, tackling Maya around the waist. They went down hard into the flooded hallway, Derek's weight pinning Maya beneath the water. She struggled against his grip, feeling panic as water filled her nose and mouth. Maya drove her elbow into Derek's kidney, forcing him to release her. She rolled away and came up coughing, water streaming from her hair. "You think you're so tough?" Derek was back on his feet, his face twisted with rage. "You think you can just come to my school and change everything?" "It's not your school," Maya shot back. "It's not your kingdom. You're just another bully who's about to get what's coming to him." Derek charged again, but this time Maya was ready. She sidestepped and used his momentum against him, sending him crashing into the lockers. The impact echoed through the hallway. Meanwhile, outside the school, police cars surrounded the building. Officers in riot gear prepared to enter, but they weren't the only ones arriving. News vans pulled up as reporters caught wind of the massive fight at Westfield High. Parents were speeding toward the school after receiving emergency calls, and among them, Robert Mitchell sat in his Mercedes, a satisfied smile on his face as he spoke into his phone. "Yes, it's exactly what we discussed," he told the voice on the other end. "Gang violence, property damage, complete breakdown of order. Maya Johnson has turned a peaceful school into a war zone." But Robert wasn't the only parent making calls. Lisa Johnson was racing toward the school, her hands shaking as she dialed her husband's number. "Marcus, something's happened at Maya's school. There's been a fight. A big one. The police are there." "I'm on my way," came Marcus's voice through the speaker. Back inside, Maya and Derek continued their brutal fight. Derek had landed several good hits, and Maya's left eye was swelling shut. But Derek wasn't faring much better. His nose was clearly broken, and he was favoring his right side where Maya had repeatedly targeted his ribs. "You destroyed everything!" Derek screamed, throwing another wild punch. "This school was perfect before you came here." Maya blocked the punch and drove her fist into Derek's solar plexus. "Perfect for who? Perfect for you and your friends while everyone else suffered?" Derek staggered backward, his breathing labored. "My family built this place. We made it what it is." "You made it a nightmare," Maya said, advancing on him. For kids like Jake, like Emma, like Ben, you made their lives hell because you could. Because they deserved it. Derek's voice cracked with desperation. Because that's how the world works. Some people matter, and some people don't. Maya's next punch caught Derek square in the jaw, the same spot where she'd first hit him weeks ago. This time, Derek stayed down, blood pooling beneath his face in the water. The sound of heavy boots echoed from the school entrance. The police had arrived. "Everyone on the ground! Hands behind your heads!" The commands boomed through the hallways as officers in riot gear flooded the building. Maya looked down at Derek's unconscious form, then at the destruction around her. Broken glass, flooded floors, scattered belongings, students pressed against walls with fear in their eyes. She'd won the fight, but at what cost? "Maya Johnson!" An officer's voice cut through the chaos. "Step away from the victim and get on the ground now." As Maya slowly raised her hands, she saw something that made her heart sink. Derek's father was walking behind the police officers, pointing directly at her. "That's her," Robert Mitchell said to the lead officer. "That's the gang leader who organized all this violence." Maya realized she'd played right into their trap. The riot, the destruction, Derek unconscious on the ground. It all painted her as the aggressor, the violent criminal who'd terrorized a peaceful school. But as the handcuffs clicked around her wrists, Maya heard something that gave her hope. Student voices, dozens of them, all saying the same thing. She was defending herself. Derek started it. He's been bullying people for years. The truth was finally coming out, even as Maya was being arrested. The question was whether anyone in authority would listen. The handcuffs bit into Maya's wrists as officers led her through the flooded hallway of Westfield High. Around her, the aftermath of the riot was evident. Broken glass crunched underfoot, water dripped from damaged ceiling tiles, and students pressed against classroom doors watched her perp walk with expressions ranging from shock to admiration. "Maya! Maya! Don't say anything!" The voice cut through the chaos. Her father, Marcus Johnson, was pushing through the crowd of police officers and paramedics. "Don't answer any questions without a lawyer." "Sir, step back," an officer commanded, but Marcus kept moving forward. "That's my daughter. I have a right to speak to my daughter." Maya turned her head, water still dripping from her hair, her left eye swollen nearly shut. "Dad? Baby girl, look at me." Marcus's voice was steady despite the chaos around them. "You did what you had to do. You hear me? You protected yourself and your friends." "She assaulted multiple students," Detective Reynolds interjected, consulting his notes. "This looks like gang activity to me." "Gang activity?" Marcus's voice rose dangerously. "My daughter defending herself from harassment is gang activity?" Behind them, Derek was being loaded onto a stretcher, still unconscious. Robert Mitchell walked beside the paramedics, his expensive suit somehow untouched by the chaos. "Officer," Robert called out, "I want to press full charges. Assault, battery, inciting a riot. That girl is a menace." Marcus turned toward Robert, his fists clenched. "Your son put his hands on my daughter. He's been harassing her for weeks." "That's not what the witnesses say," Robert replied smoothly. "All I see is your daughter standing over my unconscious son." "Dad, it's okay," Maya said quietly. "I'm okay." Marcus looked at his daughter, wet, bruised, handcuffed, but standing tall. In her eyes he saw the same determination he'd taught her in their backyard training sessions. "Remember what I told you about fighting the same battle twice?" Marcus said, as the officers prepared to lead her away. "Yeah, this is the second fight, and this time the whole world's watching." As they moved through the school, Maya saw the reactions of her fellow students. Some of Derek's friends looked satisfied, whispering among themselves about her arrest. But others, her people, watched with tears in their eyes and phones in their hands, recording everything. Jake Santos broke free from a group of students and ran alongside her. "Maya, we got video of everything. The whole fight. Derek throwing the first punch. All of it." "Kid, get back," an officer warned. "No, you don't understand," Jake persisted. "We have proof she was defending herself." "Jake, be careful," Maya called over her shoulder. "Don't get arrested, too." Emma Rodriguez was crying as Maya passed, her phone held high to record. "We're going to fix this. Everyone's going to know the truth." Outside the school, news vans were already arriving. The story of a massive fight at a suburban high school was spreading fast, especially with cell phone videos hitting social media in real time. Maya's mother, Lisa, pushed through the crowd of reporters and onlookers. "Maya! Baby, are you hurt?" "I'm fine, Mom," Maya called back, though her swollen eye told a different story. "This is harassment," Lisa shouted at the officers. "Where were you when her son was attacking my daughter?" Detective Reynolds paused at the police car. "Ma'am, your daughter initiated a riot that injured dozens of students and caused tens of thousands of dollars in damage. My daughter defended herself against a predator." Lisa's voice cracked with emotion. "She did what you should have done. She stopped him." As they reached the patrol car, Maya saw Principal Anderson standing near the school entrance, talking rapidly into his phone. He caught her eye for a moment, and Maya saw something unexpected. Shame. "Maya Johnson," Detective Reynolds read from his notes as he opened the car door. "You're being charged with assault and battery, inciting a riot, and conspiracy to commit violence. You have the right to remain silent." Maya barely heard the Miranda rights. She was watching her friends through the car window, Jake organizing students to upload their videos, Emma coordinating with parents who were arriving, Ben Chen limping but standing strong with the group. They weren't backing down. Even with their leader arrested, they were still fighting. As the patrol car pulled away from Westfield High, Maya saw something that made her heart swell with pride. Students were pouring out of the building, not in panic, but in organized protest. They formed a line along the sidewalk, holding up their phones, chanting her name. The war wasn't over. It was just getting started. Marcus Johnson watched his daughter disappear into the police car, then turned to face the news cameras that were multiplying by the minute. "My daughter is not a criminal," he said clearly, his voice carrying across the parking lot. "She's a hero who stood up to a system that protects bullies and punishes victims. And we're going to prove it." The battle lines were drawn, and the whole world was watching. The courthouse steps were packed with protesters 3 weeks later. Maya sat in the defendant's chair, watching through the window as hundreds of students held signs reading, "Justice for Maya" and "Stop protecting bullies." The media attention had exploded beyond anything she'd imagined. "Your Honor," District Attorney Rebecca Walsh stood before Judge Martinez, her voice carrying the weight of authority. Maya Johnson organized and led a criminal conspiracy that resulted in a riot causing over $50,000 in property damage. She turned Westfield High School into a battlefield. Maya's lawyer, a young public defender named David Chen, Ben's older brother who'd taken the case pro bono, rose to respond. "Your Honor, Maya Johnson is not a criminal. She's a victim who was forced to defend herself when every adult authority figure failed her." Judge Martinez, a stern woman in her 60s, looked over her glasses at the packed courtroom. "This is highly irregular. I've never seen this level of public interest in a juvenile case." The prosecution began their case with Principal Anderson, who took the stand looking uncomfortable in his rarely worn suit. "Principal Anderson," D.A. Walsh began, "can you describe the defendant's behavior since transferring to Westfield High?" Maya Johnson was disruptive from day one. She showed no respect for authority and seemed determined to cause problems. David Chen stood for cross-examination. Principal Anderson, how many formal complaints did you receive about Derek Mitchell's behavior toward other students? Anderson shifted uncomfortably. I don't recall specific numbers. Let me refresh your memory. David held up a thick folder. 17 formal complaints over 2 years. What action did you take? The Mitchell family has been very supportive of our school. Sometimes complaints are exaggerated by attention-seeking students. A murmur of anger rippled through the courtroom. Maya watched several of Derek's former victims lean forward in their seats. So you believed Derek Mitchell over multiple victims because his family donated money to the school? Objection, the prosecutor called. Sustained, Judge Martinez said, but her expression suggested she'd heard enough. The real bombshell came when David Chen called Jake Santos to the stand. Jake, 3 days ago, you discovered something on Derek Mitchell's social media accounts. Can you tell the court what you found? Jake's hands shook slightly as he spoke. I found videos and posts that Derek thought he'd deleted. They showed him planning attacks on students, bragging about harassment, and coordinating with his father to cover everything up. On the courtroom's display screen, a video began playing. It showed Derek and his friends in Derek's bedroom, planning their final assault on Maya's group. We'll make it look like she started everything, Derek's voice echoed through the silent courtroom. My dad's already talked to the cops. They'll arrest her and her gang, and everything goes back to normal. Gasps rippled through the audience. Robert Mitchell's face had gone pale in the front row. But the evidence wasn't finished. Jake had recovered months of deleted content. Derek bragging about breaking in exotic girls, videos of him and his friends cornering students, even recordings of conversations with his father about using police connections to handle problems. Furthermore, David continued, we have testimony from 47 students documenting years of systematic harassment that school officials ignored or covered up. One by one, Derek's victims took the stand. Emma Rodriguez described being cornered in bathrooms while teachers walked past. Ben Chen talked about being forced to do homework under threat of violence, his voice growing stronger with each word. Marcus Washington detailed having his lunch money stolen weekly while administrators told him to try being nicer to his attackers. Each testimony built on the last, painting a picture of institutional failure that went far beyond one troubled student. The turning point came when Derek himself took the stand. His lawyer had advised against it, but Robert Mitchell insisted his son testify to clear his name. Derek walked to the witness stand with his arm still in a sling, his face showing faded bruises from Maya's final punch. He'd clearly been coached, speaking carefully and avoiding eye contact with Maya. Derek, his lawyer began gently, can you tell the court what happened the day of the fight? I was just trying to talk to Maya, to work things out peacefully. She'd been threatening me and my friends for weeks, organizing other students to attack us. And when you approached her that day, she immediately became violent, started throwing punches for no reason. I was just defending myself when she knocked me unconscious. The prosecutor smiled, confident in Derek's performance. But under David Chen's cross-examination, Derek's arrogance began to show through his coached responses. Derek, did you tell Maya Johnson you could be her master like in the old days? Derek's lawyer objected, but Derek was already answering. It was just a joke. She was being uptight about everything. A joke? I didn't mean it like that. Some people just don't have a sense of humor. Did you follow Maya to her car and make threatening comments? I was trying to be friendly. She kept rejecting my attempts to be nice. Did you slap Maya Johnson's behind in the school parking lot? Derek's lawyer objected again, but Derek's temper was rising. She needed to learn some respect. Girls like her think they can just... Girls like her? David interrupted. What do you mean by that? Derek realized his mistake too late. I mean, I just meant, you meant black girls, didn't you? You meant girls who don't submit to your harassment should be taught lessons? That's not what I said, but it's what you meant. Just like when you told your friends you were going to break in the exotic animal, correct? Derek's face flushed red. You're twisting my words. These are your words, Derek. Your deleted social media posts, your text messages, your own voice on video. David's voice rose with righteous anger. You targeted Maya Johnson because she was black, because she was new, and because you thought you could get away with it, like you had with dozens of other students. She was the violent one, Derek shouted, abandoning all pretense of calm. She's the one who brought gang violence to our school. Before she came, everything was peaceful. Peaceful for who, Derek? Peaceful for you while you terrorized other students? They deserved it, Derek's voice cracked with desperation. That's how the world works. Some people matter and some people don't. The courtroom erupted. Judge Martinez slammed her gavel repeatedly, calling for order. But Derek wasn't finished. My family built this town. We made that school what it is. Some little gangbanger doesn't get to come in and destroy everything we worked for. David Chen let the words hang in the air. Derek's true nature finally exposed for everyone to see. When order was restored, Judge Martinez's voice cut through the silence like a blade. I've heard enough. After reviewing all evidence and testimony, it's clear that Maya Johnson was defending herself against a pattern of harassment and assault that school officials not only ignored, but actively covered up. Her voice carried the weight of justice finally being served. All charges against Maya Johnson are dismissed. The courtroom exploded in cheers. Outside, the crowd of supporters erupted in celebration, their chants audible even through the courthouse walls. But Judge Martinez wasn't finished. Furthermore, I'm ordering a full investigation into the handling of bullying complaints at Westfield High School. Derek Mitchell will face charges for assault, harassment, and conspiracy. And I'm recommending that the state review the entire district's policies on student safety. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as her friends surrounded her, all of them crying and laughing at the same time. Her parents engulfed her in a fierce hug, while reporters shouted questions and cameras flashed. Through the chaos, Maya caught sight of Derek being led away in handcuffs, his father following with his head down, finally facing the consequences of their actions. They had won. Not just the legal battle, but something bigger. They had changed everything. 6 months later, Maya walked through the halls of Westfield High School, but everything had changed. New anti-bullying posters lined the walls, reporting hotlines were prominently displayed, and most importantly, she could feel the difference in the atmosphere. Maya! Jake Santos jogged up to her, a huge grin on his face. Did you see the news? What news? Derek got sentenced yesterday. 2 years in juvenile detention, plus community service when he gets out. And his dad lost his seat on the school board. Maya nodded, feeling a complex mix of satisfaction and sadness. Justice had been served, but she took no joy in Derek's downfall, only relief that he could no longer hurt others. Emma Rodriguez appeared at Maya's locker, practically bouncing with excitement. Also, did you hear about Principal Anderson? What about him? He's gone. Forced resignation. And guess who they're bringing in as interim principal? Emma's smile was infectious. Coach Rivera. She's already implementing the new policies. Maya felt a genuine smile spread across her face. Coach Rivera had been one of the few adults who'd supported her from the beginning, recognizing her Muay Thai skills and understanding the situation she'd been facing. As they walked toward their first class, Maya noticed something that still amazed her 6 months later. Students walking confidently through the halls. No one hugged the walls anymore. No one kept their heads down in fear. The atmosphere of terror that Derek and his friends had created was gone. "Maya Johnson, report to the principal's office, please." The announcement echoed through the hallway, but this time Maya wasn't worried. These calls had become routine since Coach Rivera took over. In the principal's office, Maya found an unexpected gathering. Coach Rivera sat behind the desk, but she wasn't alone. Ben Chen was there, along with Marcus Washington and several other students Maya didn't immediately recognize. "Maya, sit down," Coach Rivera said warmly. "I wanted you to meet some people." The unfamiliar students introduced themselves. They were from other schools across the state, all dealing with their own bullying situations. "We heard about what you did here," said a girl named Samantha from a school an hour away. "We want to do the same thing at our school, but we need help. We need to know how you organized everyone." Maya looked around the room at the eager faces. Over the past months, she'd received hundreds of messages from students across the country asking for advice, sharing their own stories, requesting help with their situations. "The first thing you need to understand," Maya said carefully, "is that what happened here got really bad before it got better. People got hurt. I got arrested. It was a war, and wars have casualties." "But it worked," Ben said quietly. "Derek's gone, the administration changed, and bullying reports are actually being taken seriously now." Maya nodded. "It worked, but there might have been other ways. Better ways." "What would you do differently?" Marcus asked. Maya thought about this question, which she'd been asking herself for months. "I'd try harder to work with adults first. I'd document everything better from the beginning. And I'd focus more on changing the system instead of just fighting the symptoms." Coach Rivera leaned forward. "That's actually why I asked you all here. The district is implementing a new peer mediation program, and they want Maya to help design it." "Me?" "You've become something of an expert on student conflict resolution," Coach Rivera smiled. "Your case is being studied by school districts across the country. They want to learn from what happened here." The meeting continued for another hour, with Maya sharing strategies for organization, documentation, and building coalitions. As the students from other schools prepared to leave, Samantha approached Maya. "Thank you," she said simply. "You gave us hope." After everyone left, Maya found herself alone with Coach Rivera. "How are you really doing?" the coach asked. "All the attention, the speaking requests, the interviews. That's a lot for anyone to handle." Maya considered the question honestly. "Some days I feel like a hero. Other days I feel like I just got lucky that things worked out. And some days I wonder if I just made everything worse for a while." "The fact that you question yourself shows wisdom," Coach Rivera said. "Heroes in movies never doubt themselves. Real heroes always do. What happens now? I graduate in a few months. Now you get to decide what kind of person you want to be going forward. The Maya Johnson who fought Derek? She was necessary. But the Maya Johnson who prevents the next Derek? She might be even more important." That evening, Maya sat in her backyard with her father, both of them practicing forms in the fading light. It had become their routine, a way to stay connected and centered amid all the chaos that had followed the trial. "Dad," Maya said during a break, "do you think I did the right thing?" Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at his daughter. "Baby girl, you did the only thing you could do. And because you did it, hundreds of other kids don't have to. But Derek's life is ruined. His friends got expelled. Even some innocent people got caught up in everything. Derek ruined his own life the moment he decided other people were objects for his entertainment," Marcus said firmly. "You didn't create that monster. You just refused to let him keep feeding." Maya's phone buzzed with another message from a student asking for help. She'd received thousands of them over the past months, each one representing someone who'd found courage from her story. I think I know what I want to study in college, Maya said suddenly. What's that? Social work. Or maybe law. Something where I can help change systems instead of just fighting individual battles. Marcus smiled. Sounds like you learned the real lesson. What's that? That the fight never really ends. It just changes shape. As summer approached, Maya found herself reflecting on everything that had changed. Derek was serving his sentence and reportedly doing well in counseling, finally confronting the attitudes that had made him a predator. Principal Anderson had taken a job in educational consulting, working to help other schools avoid the mistakes Westfield had made. Most importantly, the students Derek had terrorized were thriving. Jake had been elected student body president. Emma was starting a peer counseling program. Ben had found his voice and was applying to debate programs for college. The ripple effects extended far beyond Westfield. Maya's story had inspired policy changes in dozens of school districts. The Maya Johnson Act was being debated in the state legislature, a bill requiring schools to have independent oversight for bullying complaints and real consequences for administrators who ignored them. On graduation day, Maya stood at the podium as valedictorian, looking out at her classmates and their families. When I transferred to Westfield High 8 months ago, she began, I just wanted to finish school quietly and move on with my life. I never wanted to become the center of a movement or the face of student activism. She paused, seeing Jake and Emma in the audience, both grinning broadly. But sometimes life doesn't give you the choice to stay quiet. Sometimes the right thing to do is the hard thing, the scary thing, the thing that changes everything. Maya's voice grew stronger. We learned that standing up to bullies isn't just about throwing punches. It's about refusing to accept injustice as normal. It's about protecting people who can't protect themselves. And it's about believing that change is possible, even when the whole system seems designed to prevent it. The audience erupted in applause as Maya concluded her speech. In the crowd, she saw her parents beaming with pride, Coach Rivera nodding approvingly, and dozens of students whose lives had been changed by the events of the past year. As Maya walked across the stage to receive her diploma, she thought about Derek, hoping he was finding his own path to redemption. She thought about all the students who'd contacted her for help, and the responsibility she felt to continue fighting for them. But mostly, she thought about the future, college, law school, and a lifetime of work to ensure that what happened at Westfield would never happen again. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. I hope you enjoyed that story. Please like the video and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.